Blizzards happen in a lot of different countries all around the world. Like for example, in Japan, there are blizzards that hurt the economy. Or in Alaska, Siberia, or Canada, a blizzard is a normal thing and happens every year. But you might not believe it, but the biggest blizzard to happen in the world and had the most deaths happened in Iran. A blizzard that's even in the Guinness World Records. It's the winter of 1972, around 50 years ago. At that time, in the beginning of February, it started getting very cold. Colder day by day. On February 2nd, a blizzard started that changed Iran forever. The scary part about this blizzard, it was a normal snow, but it did not stop day after day. The height of the snow in different parts of the country, especially Tehran, even got up to 8 meters. This is an insane number, 8 meters of snow everywhere. You can compare the snow wall to a 3-story building, but snow. This snow got to every part of Iran. In that week, the whole geography of Iran changed because a lot of villages got destroyed and a lot of people died because of it. We say it changed geography because 200 villages got buried with snow. In Semiron, Esfahan alone, 12 villages got buried. 1,000 people died in Gilan. It got even scarier when the weather got colder. Some cities in Iran, like Shahrakord, got as cold as -27 Celsius. 2 days later, in Khorasan, it got down to -36 centigrade. This temperature is a temperature you can compare to Antarctica, and you could say it was only 4 degrees warmer than the South Pole. And this is the coldest record in Iran, and it was broken 2 years before this. In the year 1969, in the city Saqqez, it got down to -36 centigrade. Back then there was no internet or a real news station, but the newspapers went crazy, kind of like social media. Some of the headlines that were written are very interesting to look at. Like the pictures that were shown in the newspapers shows a tunnel that was meant to be a cover, but even inside the tunnel, the car is covered with snow. A lot of truck drivers were stuck on the side of the road, but the roads you can't see. It's good to know that diesel fuel gets frozen very easily, but modern cars have systems that prevents this. But back then there was no system, and diesel got frozen, and when it was frozen, it was like frozen oil, and you can't do anything unless it gets warmer and this melts. A lot of drivers died of hypothermia next to their vehicles. When trucks can't move in a society, you can't get anything, especially fuel. And that's why a lot of heaters went out because of electricity or it didn't have enough fuel. The damage that this caused to Iran was devastating because it literally shut down every road for that week. A lot of buses filled with passengers were stuck everywhere. In Tabriz, a lot of people would pass out of the cold weather. No pilot wanted to land in any of Iran's airports at that time. The graders that worked in the snow, and they were the only hope to get us out of this, were stuck, and the forks would not work. It's been 8 days, and most of the roads are still shut down. The truck drivers that were still alive, and saw the people around them that don't have any food. If they had a food supply in the truck, they shared it with everyone around them. A lot of people were stuck on the roads like we said, but they started burning anything they could find to stay warm. Between these, a lot of truck supplies were burned. Not edible stuff, but stuff you could burn. There's no exact statistics, but they believe more than 4,000 people died in this blizzard. God, please stop this snow. This was the prayer that the Iranian people did back then. This event was so bad that it's in the Guinness World Records as the deadliest blizzard in history. A website called Devastating Disasters that basically explains disasters throughout the world has a writing about this blizzard that's very interesting to read. The writing says that this blizzard really took over Iran, and that's all 1,648,000 kilometers squared, and thousands of people died. A lot of people stayed home in the hopes that it was over, but the cold weather killed them off. This website continues and says, even though Iran is known as a dry hot place, but this dry and hot place suffered the biggest blizzard in history, and it saw snow as low as 3 meters and as high as 8 meters high. And you might not believe this, but the Caspian Sea got frozen in that year too. And in history, this has only happened once. We're talking about the Iranian beachside. Another interesting story about this is that army helicopters throughout Iran would go to buried villages and drop bread and dates for them. Nobody could be seen, but they were hoping that they could make tunnels to the surface and they might need food. But most of the foods that were dropped were eaten by the animals, and they were suffering just like the humans as well. My age doesn't reach this blizzard, and I didn't know something like this happened in Iran. Did you guys know that the deadliest blizzard happened in Iran? Please comment.